then I would like to pick your thoughts on this. Apart from James Algaga, names have come up as well. Roxanne Nelson, Dafiamepo. Your thoughts on how that would even work out for the majority? Sources tell us that government is not too pleased with Mahama Ayariga's performance as majority leader. You're in the House. Is that the case from where you sit?
Because of where I sat, I took a lot of intelligence from everyone. It was obvious to everybody that Mahama Ayariga will leave the bench, the front bench. It was very obvious before we left. In fact, I don't remember whether I didn't ask him, but if I didn't, then my thought was to ask him that he was going to Western House, because the rumor was that if the Western Housing Minister moves to defense, they would take Mahama Ayariga to Western Housing. And it was very obvious to everybody that he needed to leave. There are some other reasons which I cannot say on air that he needed to leave. And it was in his interest to leave the front leadership. It's a rumor that is going around the House. We all know what it is. But there was no way that he could have remained as the majority leader. So it's not about performance or non-performance, even though the NDC party have their own issues with him. The way he went about things and the way he and Afenyo in the exchanges and how he came out with. Some of them feel unsatisfied with anytime there's an issue, some of them felt unsatisfied with the way he went about things.
We see a few amuna corribium alpha one sunny na a and a news and buyer just at the front the ratio for the president of the Montano and a cyber the minority in parliament Dominic Nitiwul NPP MP Ababontin about reacted to the new face just a Arabic Jina Mahama Ayariga sabi ye nefru as majority leader ye nefru hono new face about James Algaga and about Beshana as a majority leader. Na we know che behind the scenes niema a course just a conversation and actions a course between a Mahama Ayariga and a AfenyoMarkins, just say where the minority leader will say how almost relate come here say it was obvious and this if only be the angel and more reason to the reason why a be in as a majority leader. Without wasting my time, you go good see any information free Parliamentary.
Let me bring in now former Defense Minister Dominic Nitiwul. It was a conversation. We appreciate your time here on The Pulse. The minority, you've been pushing for government to elect a substantive defense minister. Now the government has proposed the appointment of Gilbert J. I'd like to pick your reaction as the minority. Pleased with his appointment?
First of all, good evening. Good afternoon to your listeners. There is a prerogative of the president to appoint whoever he feels that he needs to appoint to lead the Ministry of Defense. My only disappointment is that the president has allowed that ministry to remain without a substantive minister for almost a year. I don't know what he thought about. My intelligence said that he wanted to do that in July, but I suspect that he wanted to do the 1-year anniversary before doing that. If it is disappointment or not, I will not be disappointed. That gentleman was the deputy minister for the defense before. Shortly before the NDC left office, he had been the deputy minister for defense, I think for about 2 or 4 years. So it's not new. I think that the most important thing for a minister for defense to succeed is one, to have the trust and confidence of the military themselves, and obviously the commander-in-chief of the Ghana Armed Forces, who is the president. If you have these two things going for you, you will succeed at the Ministry of Defense. It doesn't matter whoever you are, you will succeed. But once he's been there before, I expect him to be able to succeed and hold the fort well.
And what are some of the key areas he should focus on now that he has the opportunity to lead the defense ministry?
The most challenging thing for the armed forces now are three. The first thing for the armed forces, for any minister for defense to be able to tackle is accommodation. The second thing is the equipment that they need to be able to work with. The Navy, the Air Force, the Army. There are things that we were doing all over, both the accommodation and the equipment they need. That's what they used to work. Were virtually doing that in very huge volumes, but it wasn't enough. So you need these two things. And the last thing you need to tackle with the armed forces, particularly during this period, is the morale. Morale is very, very low. Morale is low for two reasons. One is that they are losing out on the United Nations peacekeeping missions, which has been a big contribution to our stability within the armed forces. And unfortunately, they are losing out in most of the missions. And it's a big morale problem for the armed forces. The second thing why morale is a concern is the fact that if you keep recruiting people into the armed forces with a commensurate accommodation, the boys on the ground are really, really suffering. And so if you go and see the boys living in tents, it's going to give you a big morale problem. And so these are the three things that the minister needs to quickly tackle. One, accommodation as quickly as possible. Two, the equipment that they need, particularly the Navy, Air Force, and Army in that order. And three, the fact that they need to work on morale issues. It's very, very key for him to be able to succeed.
And what are the likely impediments he's likely to face? You've been there before.
The biggest concern is whether there will be resources for him to carry out the things I've just mentioned. For him to be able to carry out accommodation to at least a standard that will get to everybody a room to sleep, he needs no less than 3 to 4 billion Ghana cedis. That's the first thing. For him to be able to carry out the sort of reforms that you need when it comes to equipment that he needs no less than 3 to 4 billion cedis. But they made a mistake in trying, instead of focusing on this, they focus on themselves. Because now the president has gone to purchase another jet for himself, right? And now we have 2 working jets. So Ghana now has 2 working jets, the same Airbus, and we don't know what they're going to do with the second one. And because the new one is coming in October, November, and we already have one which the president used in Jamaica and is working. So we are going to have a big problem. The second thing is that they bought 2 helicopters for themselves. That is what we call VIP helicopters for themselves. So, and these are huge resources that they've committed in doing that. Close to almost 9 billion cedis that, if you remember, over the next 4 years, they've committed in doing that. So the armed forces, if you look at the budget, someone will tell you that, oh, they have their share. But when it comes to the tools that the soldiers themselves need, when it comes to the accommodation that the soldiers themselves need, when it comes to the welfare that the soldiers need, they will not have it. So you are going to have the minister who will look at, Minister for Finance, who will look at his books and say, oh, the armed forces have been catered for. But then it is not directly to the soldiers. The soldiers are not benefiting. So it's a huge challenge he's going to face. 2, the second thing you are going to face as the minister is the fact that you have to secure the north. We built 12 forward operating bases and also 3 logistics centers, which have been let to rot. For the last 1.5 years, the government has not touched them. They have just left them like that. And so you are going to have a big problem encountering the extremists from the north. And so that's the second thing. And the last thing the minister is going to face is ensuring that the soldiers are used for the right thing, like in the fight against Galamsey. The soldiers are used for the right thing, and that they have what it takes to be able to do that for you and to support the civil police in doing exactly what they need to do. If the minister can summon this with the resources that he needs, he will succeed. But if he cannot get the resources that he needs, he's going to face a big problem. Because you wake up one day and realize that the armed forces have no fuel, even though we try to put a small margin to help them. And so right now, there's a margin that they used to pay. So food, fuel, that's what they call pool. These are the challenges that the minister will really, really face. But like I said, if he has the respect of the military high command and the soldiers themselves, and you also have the ear of the president, you have the trust and confidence of the president, you will succeed. But I do know that when it comes to the ear and trust of the president, he does have. I'm yet to ascertain whether he has the full confidence of the men and women of the Ghana Armed Forces.
Stay with me. Let me bring in at this point Victor Doke to join the conversation, just to get his initial reaction to this. We now have a substantive defense minister. I'd like to pick your thoughts on this.
Hello?
Can you hear me, Doc?
Yes, please come again.
We now have a substantive defense minister. I would like to pick your thoughts on this.
Oh, thank you very much. I think I'll start with the Honorable Nitiwul, who made the earlier comments with regards to whether the president wanted to wait till at this particular time. It seems so. All indications seems that the president was just waiting for this particular time, probably a year after the demise of the former Defense Minister, and then also use a period to pay his last respects whilst himself, oversees activities through the acting Defense Minister. So it's been long overdue, and some of us are really happy that a name has been turned to the position, which is very good to oversee the many issues that Honorable Nitiwul has already highlighted.
And then we just heard from Dominic Nitiwul explain some of the technicalities with this position, some of the key things that this minister should be looking at when he takes over office, which in fact takes effect immediately. He raised concerns about controlling the north and restoring peace, especially within our northern borders. How do you propose this minister can approach that differently?
Right. So when you look at the nomination itself, let me come a bit to experience before I get to your question. You realize that looking at the president's nomination, and even we have a deputy minister for defense, all in the age bracket of the late 40s, right? You're looking at experience from 1 year and then 4 months for Honorable Boja, 1 year, 7 months for, Honorable Kenneth coming in as a Minister for Defense, because he's been appointed earlier on 18th May 2015 to January 7, 2017, 1 year, 7 months plus, or whatever it is. So you're looking at the experience he brings on board, having been there before, commanding respect, giving respect and coordinating, collaborating with the military high command is essential. Now, with regards to your question, in every institution, when there's a gap, you would realize or know that there is a blueprint of what has been done, what is being done, already left for you, the new person coming in. You have the service sisters who would give their support and collaborate and coordinate with you with regards to securing the frontiers of the north. Honorable Nitiwul mentioned about the FOBs, the logistics centers, and all of those things. How do we, come to operationalize these very key infrastructures for us to pick up intelligence is very essential. So we're looking at how the men in uniform would collaborate and coordinate, plus the military hierarchy, together with, Honorable Kenneth to achieve their objective of, tackling every threat that we will face, not only in the northern part of, Ghana, southern part, eastern and western part. It is very essential. So he has big shoes to fill, but I'm very positive when he's, set sail, he would be very willing to coordinate and collaborate. Having been there before, that experience will be brought to bear for him also to consult the past, ministers that have been there, like Honorable Nitiwul himself. It doesn't spoil anything, despite different political angles. We need to succeed in that area. In the welfare, i.e., the welfare act or deals with a lot, not only with accommodations, remunerations, promotions, a whole lot of things, and more important, the gender aspect, inclusion when it comes to processes and organizations such as this.
Okay.
You need to look at all these things.
Stay with me, Doc. Let me bring back Dominic Nitiwul and just pick his thoughts on this. Are you surprised that the Deputy Defense Minister, who has been seated in for the past 1 year, was not promoted to the substantive position?
No, I'm not. I'm not surprised at all. Like I said before, if my intelligence says me right, it has always been the desire of the president to put Kenneth Ajay there as the Minister for Defense. And so I'm not surprised at all. I just think that by the way our constitution works, the Deputy Minister for Defense will continue to support his minister, even though he has been there over the last 1.5 years. Sometimes you are tempted to think that because you are there before, you might not cooperate well with the minister. Some presidents will have moved the people before and give the incoming minister the full hand to be able to operate. But like I said before, this is somebody that the people know, the soldiers know, and the country know that he has the ear of the president. And I think that with that, he would, if he's sharp enough to be able to succeed. When I say sharp enough, it's not about the intellect, but taking advantage of all the atmosphere that goes around him, I think that he'll be able to succeed. Success is also relative. success to him might be failure to the country. So it all depends.
On that and the gap that would leave for the majority in Parliament.
I knew this question was going to come. Algaga is a very tough guy. You know, he's a very tough guy. But the only thing he needs to realize is that he does not have the experience of leadership. You know, Afenyo, Anodompre, Mama Pat, and Habib have the experience of leadership, and they have been there. All the four of them have been there long before him. Some of them have done 7 years, 6 years. Some of them have done 6.5 years. Avenue has done almost like 4 years in leadership. So they have the experience of leadership and what it takes. And it is a calling. But apart from that, it's a skill that you need to learn on your feet. But when it comes to parliamentary work, Ayariga came in, and I think either 2012 or 2016, so 2012. So he came with, I think, their mates. So he has an idea about how to go about leadership. So I'm not surprised that the president picked up on him to go. If he didn't go there, then he would have gone to defense. But once the president believes that he will settle on it, he has to learn very fast. Otherwise, trust me, the mighty 87 will overrun him. And will overrun him very, very fast. And he's 188, because I know that there's one who's locked up outside the country. So the 188 and then the 87 members, I can tell you that if he's not on his feet, the 87 will overrun him and overrun him very, very quickly.
And coming up on your screens now, we've put together a profile of some of the key assignments that we told you earlier today. We told you that Dr. Zenata Jiman-Rawlings has been assigned now to the Environment Ministry. She'll be heading that ministry now. We told you that Gilbert Ejay, who is the Works and Housing Minister, has been reassigned and now appointed substantive Deputy Defense Minister, I beg your pardon. And we also told you some key changes with regards to Parliament, and that's why we have our Parliamentary Affairs correspondent here. We're picking information that Mahama Ayariga has now been appointed the local government minister. We'll come to him to find out what this means substantively for him in Parliament. But coming up on your screen now is a profile. We told you we'll be bringing in a profile of some of the key individuals and the changes that the president is proposing. Minister for Works and Housing and Water Resources now, Ahmed Ibrahim. He's MP for Banda. The president wants him to go ahead to head that ministry. He has been the Member of Parliament for Banda since 2009. He's the Deputy Minority Whip from 2017 to 2025. Minister for Local Government, Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs. That's a position he currently holds. And now we're told that he's moving to another ministry. Let's take the other profile now. The Works and Housing Minister, Kenneth Gilbert Ejay. Now he has been moved to the substantive minister for the Defense Ministry. Now, after the unfortunate incident on August 6th, we lost our Defense Minister over a year ago, and so he now has been elected by the president to take up that position. He is a former Deputy Defense Minister from 2015 to 2017. So for most people wondering if he holds enough qualification to take over that ministry, there you have it. He once held that position as Deputy Defense Minister between 2015 and 2017. And currently he is the Minister for Works and Housing and Water Resources, but now he has been moved to the Defense Ministry. Also, we told you Dr. Jiman-Rawlings, Member of Parliament for Korle-Klottey, she is now, she has been reassigned to the Ministry of Environment, Science and Technology. And you know, she has been MP for Korle-Klottey since 2015. She's a medical doctor. And that's the big man here. That's why we have Kweku Asante in the studio, because we're exploring what this means. Mahama Ayariga, the majority leader, he has now been moved to the Ministry of Local Government and to head that ministry as minister. He was Information Minister from 2013 to 2014, Deputy Education Minister 2011-2013, Deputy Minister of Trade and Industry 2010-2011. He's been everywhere, really. He's a Member of Parliament for Boko Central, and currently he has been nominated by the president to hold the position as Minister of Environment, Science and Technology and Innovation. Now, between 2014 to 2015, it's important we let you know that he was Minister for Youth and Sports. So, you heard it here first. The majority leader has been reassigned. What are the implications for his substantive role in Parliament? Asante is here with me. Does this mean he automatically vacates his seat as majority leader?
Well, when it comes to the new appointment that Ayariga now has, when it comes to the government, what this will mean is that he would have to sit on as the majority leader until the end of October, when Parliament will resume, so that he can go through vetting, because as we speak, Parliament is on break, and so Parliament is usually unable to refer these matters, the Speaker in particular, unable to refer these matters to the Appointment Committee for vetting to happen. Usually this will happen on the floor of the House, where the Speaker will read the letter as it has come from the President, and then refer that to the Appointment Committee, which will then go and sit on the nomination. So Ayariga will continue to be the majority leader up until October, when the Appointment Committee will vet him. Obviously, because now he's been nominated to the local government ministry, he will be the President's representative. They will be looking at some of the things. Usually, when it comes to reshuffles, they take immediate effect. So, our understanding is that from right now, Kenneth Gobedeje is the substantive defense minister. When it comes to Ahmed Ibrahim, he's also been moved to Western Housing, which means that the local government ministry becomes empty as it relates to a substantive minister, although he has a deputy minister there. So Ayariga will still keep an eye over there. But for now, because Parliament is yet to consider his nomination and offer an approval or otherwise, he will continue to be the majority leader until then. But we understand that already the party and government are looking at a replacement. And because of this appointment, obviously the government and the political party would have been looking at the names that are available, potential replacement, because Ayariga is a very heavyweight. I mean, in the last almost 1.5 years, in fact, more than that, since he's been the leader of the majority in Parliament and the leader of government business, he's quite held the fort quite well. And so when you are taking him out to a government position, you are bringing in someone that the expectation is either they can match Ayariga or at least not be a downgrade in terms of their ability to lead government business in the House. Even though they have a 2/3 majority, you have a very powerful minority that has a very strong voice all the time. So you need someone leading right from the front. And so I suppose it would have been a very big conversation within the government, taking a decision to take Ayariga to the local government ministry. And as we know, local government is a very big priority for the government. They want someone there that can command a certain level of gravitas to be able to bring in the local government issues under control. There's a big sanitation problem across the country, and that portfolio as religious affairs chieftaincy is also there. And so they needed someone with a certain level of gravitas to be able to man that affair. And they looked around and they thought, listen, let's go into Parliament and let's take Ayariga and let's put him there. And that is what they've done.
But they're leaving a gap.
They've left a gap, a big gap
and
there.
And so the competition now will be who exactly has enough gravitas to lead the majority in Parliament. Some names have been popping up on social media.
Yeah, in fact,
Roxy
since
Nelson
this appointment came, names have been popping up, like you said, Roxy Nelson Dafiamepo. The current majority chief whip, his name has come up quite strongly. Kweku Rekethagan is the deputy majority leader, and so definitely as soon as the majority leadership becomes vacant, his name will obviously come up. But one name that has become a very significant and in pole position is James Algaga. He's the MP for Busa South in the northern part of the country, and he's also the Airport Company Limited board chair. He's been a deputy interior minister under Mahama One, and he's currently in the pole position to become the next majority leader. He's also currently the chair of the Defense and Interior Committee of Parliament. Understanding is that that decision is all but firmed up, but Parliament is on break. You are not in a rush to appoint another defense minister, so they can wait it out, look at all the permutations. But if nothing changed, when Parliament resumes at the end of October, the name that will be put forward by the majority side to become the next majority leader will be James Algaga, who will then take over from Ayariga and lead from the front as the leader of government business for state.
Big question on my mind, is he up to the task really? You're dealing with a minority leader, Alexander AfenyoMarkins. tough guy, really. On top of his issues, he has been majority leader before. Do you think he's the man for the job? Concerns from the grassroots?
Yeah, I mean, my value judgment is James Algaga is a very good guy. I mean, he's a lawyer. When it comes to being on his feet and making arguments, debating, he's quite good at that. He's been in Parliament for a very long time. He knows the ins and outs. He knows how to deal with a lot of issues. So I suspect James Algaga will not have a lot of issues filling up there. Of course, the minority front bench is also quite strong. And there are even concerns that even the NPP themselves may be looking to changing. And I know you're going to have Dominic Nitiwul. I don't know if he's possibly going to be the next minority leader. It's a question that is still out there. But you have a front bench of minority leadership that is very strong. Alexander AfenyoMarkins has a very strong voice all the times. You have another on prayer, you have P.B. Drisu, and you have Jerry Ahmed Saib, Patricia PJ, quite formidable persons. And so when you are bringing in somebody, you want someone that can match them, but at least they have the numbers on their side. You have someone that can at least command the respect. You don't have any issues.
Thank you so much, Bekwa Santi. Then I would like to pick your thoughts on this. Apart from James Algaga, names have come up as well. Roxanne Nelson, Dafiame Paul. Your thoughts on how that would even work out for the majority? Sources tell us that government is not too pleased with Mahama Ayariga's performance as majority leader. You're in the House. Is that the case from where you sit?
Like, because of where I sat, I took a lot of intelligence from everywhere. It was obvious to everybody that Mahama Ayariga will leave the bench, the front bench. It was very obvious before we left. In fact, I don't remember whether I didn't ask him, but if I didn't, then my thought was to ask him that he was going to Western House, because the rumor was that if the Western Housing Minister moves to defense, they would take Mahama Ayariga to Western Housing. And it was very obvious to everybody that he needed to leave. There are some other reasons which I cannot say on air that he needed to leave. And it was in his interest to leave the front leadership. It's a rumor that is going around the House. We all know what it is. But there was no way that he could have remained as the majority leader. So it's not about performance or non-performance. Even though the NDC party have their own issues with him, the way he went about things and the way he and Afenyo in the exchanges and how he came out with, some of them feel unsatisfied with anytime there's an issue. Some of them felt unsatisfied with the way he went about things. But that is for the jury to judge, and that jury will be the electorate in 2028. Of course, they will judge in our favor, but it was obvious that for certain reasons he needed to leave the House. And the rumors were all over, unless we were not in Parliament. But if we were in Parliament, it was very, very obvious that Ayariga will not stay in that House. But that is not to say that he will not get a position. The rumor has always been that he will go to Western Housing to replace Ken Karaji, who would then go to defense. So for me, I'm not surprised.
We also heard that Senator Rawlings was tipped to move to a different ministry, in fact, Defense Ministry, but she lost out on that. Now she's going to Environment and Technology. I beg your pardon. Your thoughts on this? What information did you even pick?
I think that even the first time that she was not made a minister, she was supposed to be made a minister of state in one of the ministries. I will not mention because it will be too obvious. But so I'm not surprised that they're taking her there. But I think that when the president wants to do a proper reshuffle, what the country is expecting, I expect her to move.
Again,
everybody knows the ministry that she will fit. So I expect that she will move.
But let us know what ministry you think she'll fit in. At least let us know.
Trust me, the country is demanding the reshuffle. The country is saying that a lot of the ministers are not performing. Even the NDC people are mentioning names that the people are not performing. They need to be removed, and they are surprised. People are really surprised that the president has not done any reshuffle, because it was obvious that the president was going to take out a lot. But I'm sure the president is learning very, very late, though, that it's very difficult to reshuffle a member of parliament and ask him to go and sit in parliament without giving him any position. I think that he's now realizing too, because they were going after President Akufo-Addo, you didn't do reshuffle, but I'm sure he's now learned the hard lesson that removing a member of parliament completely and asking to go and sit in parliament, you've ended his political career. So wait, he has entangled himself. He's the one who has done his appointment. So we are all waiting. But the country is demanding a reshuffle. And trust me, if he doesn't do a reshuffle before the end of this year, he's going to get a lot of problems, not from even the opposition like us, but from his own party. So I am clear in my mind that by the time you do that reshuffle, they might move Senator Rawlings to a more appropriate ministry.
But based on the intelligence you're picking, what other key ministries should we expect that there will be changes in the future?
I think that it will be, I'll be very unfair to the ministers if I start mentioning, but it's very obvious to everybody. The ministers who the public is complaining about, the party people are complaining about, it's very, very obvious to everybody. It's obvious. They themselves are complaining. In fact, they themselves don't believe that they should be ministers any longer. Offline we could talk, but on the line, I think that will be very unfair to people.
Thank you so much, Dominic Nitiwul, for your time here on The Pulse. Let me wrap up with Dr. Victor Doke, who is also joined the conversation. I'd like to pick your thoughts on this. Are you surprised that the substantive minister is not the deputy minister? Bridget J.P. has been occupying that position for over a year now. Are you surprised?
No, to be honest with you, I'm not surprised at all. You see, when you're talking about a position such as this, normally what the heads of state do is that they like to pick one who is very close to them. You know, the Honorable Nitiwul used the word, has the ear of the president. Okay, so it means that whoever is going to accept the number one seat has to be very close. When you look at the profile of Honorable Kenneth, you know, there are some element variables that will tell you that he's very close to the president. I mean, you should do that check and then you know what I'm talking about. So I'm not surprised at all.
And let's look at the job he has to do really with regards to security in the country. What are the key areas he should focus on now that he's assuming office?
Right. So apart from what we've talked about with regards to the northern borders, you know, enhancing capability, pulling up resources are very key for the men in uniform to use. Availability of resources would mean that you have success in chalking up with regards to intelligence and countering with violent extremism. Now, let's come to the various conflicts that we have. Contribution of ideas and suggestions, okay, to the Ministry of Interior, the Minister of Interior, the National Security Advisors, and all of that is very key. Now, we know what the late Dr. Manabuama did with regards to even the Boko crisis. Contributions of ideas, okay, coordinating and collaborating with other security agencies is very key. And as much as we want to be seen to be working, we want these leaders to be up and do with regards to the ideas and suggestions they bring and carry the, you know, security couples along. It's very key. Whatever you do, if you don't have the backing of the security couples, you are bound to have challenges. So all these would mean that he has to, you know, prioritizing the needs with regards to how to counter the very, very threat that we are facing, course, which is the northern frontier.
We for already attend some and the minority leader, the minority MP, Dominic Nitiwul, also a former defense minister under Ayariga government, and information baby I said in or for 1G channel as well, and also reshuffle a course just nipa 2 munye ministers mahama appoint omaba aban omama benya ministerial appointment Senator Rawlings and Mahama Ayariga. And the other two, and also omo ya resha form, omo de omo ye ministers dada. Now so ya resha form de omo ko different ministry. Just ono Gilbert Ejin and Ahmed Ibrahim. Now Dominic Nitiwul atune boasi IHH because ono a defense minister. Gilbert Ejin didn't call a defense ministry ono. And our channel kwanya obetimi any the military officers or more hat no more timina na ye adwuma na manetima so cd otono bo asichem kamamete. After that so the host tamni free what the omutisi parliament. The entire bars and say one major key person or parliament no Mahama Ayariga or say majority leader no ye free ho Amano a ministerial rule just all call a local government. Now we know to boss HM come a me who is saying reason why or no bit can say a can be tea money ye in the few house majority leader or no No him that because of picking intelligence. When him that I say in the opening of a Parliament here, or call a recess here in John Bebano. No him say majority leader Ayariga no on be majority leader be because of information you could know. Now so na to me you free a majority leader position. Into me in for emanence and Parliament or and be creating more rumors. I do a bonny being. Also good bonny beer. Now so do nimly say now man for when he say he wasn't up to a juma a beer and that's expectation a free a and horbano. Because no more Felicity be on AfenyoMarkins a related too much. Because AfenyoMarkins a minority leader for MPP. And also a majority leader for NDC. So, kwa say na when say go nyemum ema afenyo timinya kwan kasa ye nyeme bi or parliament e bi ono ye majority leader or government or hold the government business in the house only control the parliament no and ke was a step in no so no timinya no e bi no kan ho bi tini yini fro and say yini fro as majority leader. Na James Algaga here the neighbor no. Even though what's not a parliamentary Nitiwul say what's not parliamentary since 2012 to date what's not watch but on being any leadership rule be our parliamentals they be our teacher but already the echoes of parliament. But the minority side now only experienced people. Yes, I know a minority leader no 4 years or experiencing 4 years of leadership in parliament and Patricia Jane and also your idea be experiencing more than 6 years leadership in parliament and the rest. But on no James Algaga now only leader in parliament da onye bido I'll be facing all these people all my leadership and now some experience leader our parliament now I'll be facing a lot but the all culture and say on learn fast don't say quite of fast or castle by bench and also you see as a leader and as a majority leader there there's a difference there to the boy after that and also report from the parliament and the report that just all call and breaking him down how I knew I call in the opening of the 9th parliament and our church and come on it's in same be with my channel the comment section subscribe and share my news so